A little bit about me. Started working on the early Ethereum team in 2015. Joined Consensus as Chief Marketing Officer right after it split from the Ethereum Foundation to become the for-profit wing of Ethereum. Ended up bringing Ethereum to market along with things like MetaMask, Infura, Truffle. Who's used any of those things? Those are real things. Okay, great. Things are changing all the time. So I wanted to talk today about, am I blocking this? Great. I wanted to talk about the North Star of product market fit and doing marketing in a way that's geared toward getting actual users and getting fit. I think a lot of Web3 product building, marketing, just to be self-critical of ourselves for a moment and of our ecosystem, which is important if we're going to improve, often hasn't integrated the rigors and the discipline of product building in Web 2. And so a lot of these lessons come from 0 to 1. A lot of these lessons come from the lean startup and its methodology that exists in other places in the startup world that we at Serotonin and others in the space are trying to integrate into Web3 with the goal of getting actual users, building real products. Who here is building a real product, trying to get real users, trying to get fit? Great. Who here is a scammer trying to cash out this market cycle? Doors open. You can leave. Right, I'll wait. No, just kidding. All right. That's me. I'm going to start with a quote from our friend Chris Dixon, who runs crypto for A16Z. He wrote this obviously a while ago in 2021. Web 2 is built on advertising. Big companies like Facebook and Google make most of their money on advertising, and many Web 2 startups build their customer base on advertising. When you build businesses on advertising, the theory is that if you retain enough customers, the long-term economics work out and you'll eventually be profitable. Web 3 takes a different approach by letting users and builders participate in the growth of networks as genuine owners. That means you no longer need advertising. Tokens are self-marketing. When someone genuinely owns something and feels skin in the game, they want to evangelize it. So I want to open with that. We obviously do a lot of traditional advertising on traditional Web 2 platforms like Google, like the various Meta business suites here in the crypto space in 2024. But I want to also take us back to the original vision of building self-marketing systems, of a Web3 marketing discipline that's about bringing people together with the right intrinsic and extrinsic incentives so that we're no longer depending on the systems and arbs of the past and actually changing something. So I want to talk about the marketing protocol, how marketing works. I want to talk about how Web3 changes that game, building Web3 community, and the recurring themes throughout this are going to be things like aligning incentives, solving the 0 to 1 problem, and getting product market fit. So these are the really basic marketing fundamentals. They're true in Web 0. They're true before the internet. They're true in Web 1, Web 2, Web 3. It starts with knowing your product. What am I actually bringing to market? And oftentimes the people doing the marketing in crypto are different from the people doing the building. And that means, especially if you're coming into a pretty technical project with a not so technical skill set, that you need to get to the bottom of exactly how it works. Because if you don't know that, you're going to have a really tough time explaining that to other people. So know your product is the first pillar here. The second one is know your audience. Who are the people that would use your product if only they knew about it? There's a matching exercise going on here. This is my product, I now know what it is, and where are the people that would use it if only they knew about it? It's not about convincing them, it's not about begging them to use it, it's not about insisting that this one specific audience becomes my users. It's going around and saying, are there pockets of people out there that if only they knew about this would use it, and then connecting them with the product. Know your audience. So then identify audience channels. Once you know who those people are that would use your product if only they knew about it, you figure out where they live and what they pay attention to. Then you define your message. So how can I describe my product in the best possible way? We call this knife's edge messaging, so that it gets someone's attention, it wedges open the door so that that person on that channel is willing to hear from you. Then it's build a marketing funnel. So they've discovered you, they've been willing to hear your message. What do you do with them next? I don't know if you want to take a picture of this. It could be self-explanatory, could not be. So what do you do after they discover you? You want to convert them to engaging with your product, which means usually signing up for something that's going to give you the permission to reach them, to target them again. That's what engagement is. Use is when you use the fact that they've given you that permission to convert them to actually starting to do something with your product, to become users. Then retention, that's how you keep them using it, as opposed to stopping, as opposed to leaving and using some other product. And in an ideal world, you send people from that very bottom of the funnel back on through to the top with things like referral programs and word of mouth. So you build that marketing funnel, you monitor the catalysts at each step of that funnel and figure out where people are falling out. And that's where you want to change things. Then finally, you're measuring effectiveness. Where are people falling out? Where can I do A/B tests? Where can I try something new? It's like a pipe. Where are the breaks in the pipe where the water pressure is coming out the side? Fixing those breaks so that it's flowing all the way through. So those are the fundamentals regardless of what you're marketing, because marketing is a protocol. It's a mechanism. It's a way of doing things. So let's add Web3 to that. What's Web3? It's a set of tools for building incentive-aligned communities. An incentive-aligned community is something that can make a project self-marketing. And that's going to let it reach a bigger scale more efficiently than something where we're constantly arbing the cost of acquiring a customer against lifetime customer value on one of those Web 2 style platforms. So in Web 3, what's Web 3 marketing? It's first building a system. So the actual tokenomics, the actual product design, these are part of marketing, and there's this kind of fluid area where product and marketing intersect here. You're architecting a system with shared values, interests, goals, incentives. Then you're solving the 0 to 1 problem or the cold start problem. You're introducing community members and users into that system. And then ideally, you're decentralizing. The goal of a great Web3 marketing department is not to become an 1,000-person department. It's not to have the biggest marketing budget. It's actually to decentralize, and that mirrors the code. Some of the most successful projects are going to get rid of their entities, or already have, and are governed by a DAO. They've decentralized their building and their open source, even though a lot of the original code was built by a core team. Similarly, you want to decentralize your marketing function over time and empower your community increasingly to do that marketing for you. How does that start? So you want to probe for product market fit. Starting with the people that are closest to you, you refine your message, and then you expand outwards. So when you're starting out, you want to reach out to the people that you know that are part of that audience group that you think would use the product if only they knew about it. You can't skip this step. A lot of projects come to Serotonin saying, how do we go global? How do we reach Joe Schmo in Namibia on day 2? That's not going to happen. First, you have to convince your proverbial aunt and uncle and dog, the people actually around you, if they're in your target audience group. Then you refine your message, you refine your product, and you go outwards and outwards. So those first people are your #1 fans. Then we can talk about expanding the circle, going mainstream, going global, outwards and outwards. And that's how you get product market fit. So a lot of the times people say, well, that's really hard. I have a cold start. I have no access to distribution. I have no social accounts. I have no existing users. How do I possibly get started with this? I need some kind of fake trick where I need to buy followers and fake some. No. You never really have a cold start if you have early evangelists. If there's someone that you can talk to who would use your product if only they knew about it, that's enough for a warm start. And if you don't have that, you might be building the wrong thing. So keep on iterating with your early evangelists until you have something like that. Then You want to use something that we call organic influencer marketing to spread the word. That means making sure the kind of people that are in the audience group that would use your product if they knew about it are incentivized intrinsically or extrinsically to go out and talk about it. And there are lots of ways to bring those people on board. And then your role as you grow in product market fit, as you grow this community, is a facilitator. You don't have to come up with all of the good ideas yourself, like a centralized marketing department. What you're doing is you're looking around and seeing what your community does naturally, and you're, blowing oxygen on those sparks so those can turn into fires. And then you can use Web3 native strategies. Instead of always going to spend money on Web2 style platforms, you can use strategies like rewards, like points, like airdrops, in order to actually gather a community on chain. Are there people on chain that have done actions that are visible on the blockchain or participated in other communities that are exactly the kinds of people that should be knowing about your product and using your product? You can target them on chain. So don't forget, the blockchain itself is actually the best CRM, customer relations management software ever, because you can transparently see what other people have done and you can target them on the same platform. Pretty amazing, without actually even revealing their personal identity, so very privacy preserving. We've said this word community a bunch of times, but want to define it as you go about building this. Community is really just the incentive-aligned group that works together toward the success of a project. And these are really separate groups in Web 2. The builders, the investors, and the users. There's a real bright line between those categories in Web 2. But in Web 3, we bring those together into a single category called community, because builders can end up also acting like investors. Users can also end up acting like builders. They can contribute to your protocol. They can contribute to your code. Your investors can be users. They can be builders. So we're collapsing these categories, and we have this catch-all name for that thing that we've collapsed it into. This community serves as your spaceship, and the people on board really matter. So if you start out and you just want to grow as fast as possible, you have some kind of metric from a centralized exchange you want to list on that says, we need a Discord with this many warm bodies in it or bots. And so you start assembling all the wrong people for all the wrong reasons. You're going to be stuck with those people forever. And the kinds of community that you actually want to attract when they come into your channels and see those people, they aren't going to come in and they aren't going to vibe with those people. So you have to build your early community, especially very carefully and on a strong foundation, to be the kind of users that you want, the kinds of people that actually want to use your product, that want to contribute in order to keep growing. The comparison we make a lot is, imagine a spaceship landed and put down a ladder somewhere on Earth and said, 20 people, come get into our spaceship. And then those are the 20 people that the aliens have to go and colonize their new planet, right? You're going to have those 20 people forever, generations of those people. That's like your early community. And so you want to get a good gene pool in there, nice, collaborative, helpful people. You want to make sure it's the right folks to start your new space universe. That's just a little bit of some of our ideas about marketing in Web3, building community, building products that actually get fit, get users. A lot more is in my book. I wrote a book called Web3 Marketing. It's about all of my childhood hopes and fears and dreams. No, it's very much a handbook, and also a bit the story about bringing Ethereum to market, a lot of the strategies that really worked, a bunch of case studies. It's on basically every major bookseller. Then also, I know we're in a room with a lot of marketers in it or people that are curious about the space. We are hiring. Please check out our hiring page. We've been expanding a lot in Asia lately, also in the Middle East. If this is something that you're interested in, please reach out, not just for marketing, but also recruiting, strategy, legal. We do a ton of things now at Serotonin. Thank you so much.